Hello, and welcome to another Champions edition of AGT Time. Cody Patterson here, along with,
Along with Jay Bock.
and we've also got a special mystery guest with us this evening. Who do we got on the line here?
Hey, it's Cody Mims. What's up?
Hey, it's Cody Mims.
The original Cody.
Yep. Welcome back.
Back from the grave. Yeah. So if you don't know me, I was one of the co-founders of this show through all its many hosts over the years. Yeah, I stepped away for the last season, but there's a guest on tonight's episode of Champions that has a very special place in my heart. So I'm here to talk about that in the rest of the episode. And I think it was a good episode for me to guest on. There was a lot of stuff happening.
There was a lot of stuff that happened here, and I'm glad you could join us this evening.
Yeah, I think we'll have some good conversation. Try not to step on everybody's toes.
Oh, yeah.
So, how do you think the season's gone so far? What are kind of your opinions?
It's interesting. I'm not sure if they're living up to the whole champions thing or not, but I think they're mostly there. And I think any failings that this format has is mostly due to the acts not delivering, I guess, in the way that we remembered them. But I think they've overall picked some good people to return. Terry Crews does not seem 100% like he's fitting in, but yeah, and I really have some problems with the results format, which I guess we'll get to later. But yeah, it's interesting how they're bringing all these people back. I know Simon has sort of dissed the people that didn't want to come back. I guess y'all didn't see this, but there was an article before this season started airing about Lindsey Sterling, the violin player, who I would say is probably maybe the biggest star that AGT's ever had. And of course she didn't win because their biggest stars never do. But she was like, yeah, they called me to ask me to come back for Champions. And I was like, what? Are you serious? You want me to play this game again and go through all the whole AGT nonsense? And I mean, it's fun to see all these people again, but I totally get where they're coming from. Like, a lot of these people have real careers now, so it's kind of strange to ask them to all come back.
Yeah. Most of these, a lot of these performers have Vegas shows or their comedy tour or whatever. So I'm excited to see them back and to kind of shove it into this short format makes sense for what they're trying to do. I'm not sure it's the best thing that they've done.
Yeah. And I do kind of like how brutal it is with only two acts can go through, even if that means our favorites get cut. But I mean, I was really happy to see Deadly Games in the finals. They're one of the acts I thought really got the short shrift when they were on, so I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that's something we can talk about is the number and the kinds of acts that have gone through. Through 3 episodes. It's been how many singers?
Yeah. So we'll include tonight because everyone pretty much knows what's going on. But of the 8 that have been through, 6 have been singers.
6 have been singers.
Wow.
Which is very singer heavy, and I think that's just sort of how talent competitions work. They're designed for singers and people that do a musical act, because a song is a nice 2 to 3 minute piece, and it is a whole story, and it connects with the audience emotionally, and bada boom bada bing. If you do something like a magic act or a comedy act or something else where you're maybe trying to tell more of a story or trying to engage with the audience in a very different way, you need to craft your set around the 2 to 3 minutes instead of the 2 to 3 minutes just sort of naturally existing for you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Do you guys want my take on the Tyra news?
Yeah, let's hear some
Sure,
Tyra news.
yeah.
So, Tyra has gotten a lot of flack in her time on the show, and I think a lot of it was unwarranted. But it did seem like she kind of never really clicked with all of this. So I'm kind of disappointed that she was leaving. But I I was watching Survivor, the finale, and they had a commercial for CBS's talent show, The World's Best, premiering in February after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's coming up here real shortly.
And they were showing all this stuff like, okay, I'm like, yeah, this looks good. Okay, they're shaking it up. And then they're like, with special host, James Corden. And I'm like, okay, they really got the most boring possible person. The carpool karaoke guy is going to host The World's Best. So when they announced that, I was never happier to have Tyra as the host of AGT than when that happened, because she does make it interesting, and I appreciate how she kept AGT weird, and I don't think the show's going to have a huge hole without her, but yeah, I kind of liked what she was doing.
Well, you've probably also
That's
seen
interesting,
that. Yeah, and you've probably also seen that Nick is now hosting The Masked Singer.
Oh,
So
really?
these-
I've heard
yeah,
I've heard
so-
some talk about the Masked Singer. I haven't looked into it too much, but it sounds like a crazy time.
Yeah. So these, former AGT hosts are now going on to other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not tuned into Masked Singer. I think that I'll probably tune into The World's Best to see what that's all about.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe we can sort of share a few thoughts on this, but that looks like a direct competitor for America's Got Talent.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be on at the same time. I guess they're premiering it right as Champions goes off the air, probably, but
yeah, maybe in the off season, but designed to be in the vein of anyhow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it makes AGT better at least.
Yeah, it might light a fire a little bit. Make sure that they're really on top of their game. I guess I can say we've kind of been tracking the numbers over the weeks as well. First week there was 9.97 million viewers tuned in. Second week it went up to 9.98. Third week it slipped just a little bit to 9.7 million viewers, and then this last week was actually a big jump to 10.45.
Wow.
So I don't know, if there was something else on TV that was pulling people's attention away, or if there was other news, other things of interest that people were tuned into. Maybe it was the cold weather. I don't know, but we had a nice little bump, 10.45 this last week.
Yeah, everybody might be staying home and watching TV during this cold spell we're having.
Yeah, I don't know how cold it is where you guys are, but here in Iowa, I saw a negative 22, and that's just stupid cold.
That is. That's they're talking about that being colder than like Antarctica.
Yeah,
at this time.
Yeah, negative 22 real temperature.
Yeah,
that's not the wind chill.
Well, we're glad you're staying warm and safe, Jay.
Yeah, me too. Nobody more than me.
Yeah.
So, all right. Should we, I guess, kind of jump into some of these acts?
Yeah, let's get going on this episode. Why don't you lead us off, Jay?
First act of the night was Britain's Got Talent 2017, Series 11. Kid magician named Issy Simpson. She took second place in 2017 to Tokyo Myers, who we're going to see next week. The video package for her, we got to see her get excited about getting a phone call from Daniel Radcliffe. She's a real Harry Potter head. I've got an 8-year-old son who is really into Harry Potter right now too. We've read him all the books. He's watched all the movies. He's rereading all the books, listening to Jim Dale read the audio books. So he's pretty immersed. He actually had a Harry Potter costume for Halloween. We had him on a broom with some fake legs up behind him, so it looked like he was flying on his broom. But so I kind of get this 8-year-old into the Harry Potter this age. And she is a far better magician than my son is. I can say this. I've taught my son how to pretend to take his thumb off, but that's about it. So she was totally adorable. She was wearing a big black jacket, which made her look even smaller and cuter. Starts out by bringing this box down to the judges' table. Takes books out of the box, hands one to Mel B, one to Heidi, one to Simon. They look through them and see that every page is different. There's no no shenanigans going on. The book that she gave Simon was How to Make a Million, and she made some jokes about that. So she's got a little bit of humor, a little bit of stage presence, which is nice. At this point, she asks Howie to set the box on the floor, and he stands up to pick up the box, and he can't. So I don't know how that happened. But she somehow reaches inside the box, pulls a deck of cards out, and then she picks up the box herself and puts it on the floor. So hard to guess what's going on there, if it's some kind of electromagnet or I don't know what, but it was pretty good. She has Howie pick a card. Then she has Howie pick one of the judges in the book that they're holding, and then pick a page from that book. And then she allows Simon to pick any word from that page. He picks the word excellent. She goes up on stage, and she reveals the word excellent was written on the blackboard that was up on stage. It's one of those things, I don't know how that trick is done, but we've seen it a number of times on America's Got Talent or any other show where they make that word appear. Then she has Howie reveal the card, and he reveals the 3 of diamonds. She takes off her big black jacket, and we see her T-shirt has a picture of Howie and him holding a 3 of diamonds, so a big giant 3 of diamonds even. So it's really, really nice little magic act. The magic itself is not anything super spectacular. And her, she can certainly smooth out her performance a little bit, but I mean, gosh, she's 10 now? Like, it's totally, totally very, very good for a 10-year-old. The judge's comments, Howie said, you have proven that Britain does have talent, and adorable talent. Mel B said everything was so seamless and you're full of confidence. Heidi said it was excellent. Simon said he's always admired her competitive spirit. Her stage presence was good. She generally exceeded my expectations. I had her at a C before the season. I gave her a B after that act. That was good.
I think a B is a fair grade. You're right that this magic was nothing spectacular. We've actually seen this trick similar to this a couple of times already this season. John Dornbos did something similar to it last week. But it's her sassiness, it's her attitude that I feel kind of makes her performance much better than some of the others.
I loved her yelling, "Stop!" at the audience.
Yes.
And of course, watch.
Yeah, she did kind of have that sort of through line, right? Where, she would almost randomly, or at set points, she'd say, "Stop!" And, everybody's kind of caught off guard. So, very cute. And part of her stage presence is that, catching you off guard. So, I thought she was, like I said, exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, some of a couple of the other books that she brought out was one called Mathemagical, and the other one was, I think, The Magical Faraway Tree. And FYI, you can get these on Amazon. So if anyone's interested in these type of books, they are for sale. So just little plug there for Amazon.
If you want to pick up these books and Kenichi's dog.
Yeah.
You can get a robot dog. We'll talk about that later, but whole Amazon. There you go.
I kind of like this. I liked it that she's got a little attitude to her. I wasn't impressed by the trick itself, but she's fun. I'm not sure, as she gets older, how this will come across. And you've even said she was, you talk about they're good for their age. And
yep, I definitely do.
Yeah, and then, so for a kid, I think she did pretty good. I don't think she was one of the best acts of the night. And she was middle tier, probably, middle to low tier.
Yeah, maybe bottom half, all things said. But
yeah.
A really fine way to start the night.
I thought it was all right. Yeah, if you notice the last couple of weeks, we've kind of had kids start out the night. Last week we had the DJ Junior start off, so it's like these kids got to get in early so they can get home, get to bed.
As someone who hasn't previewed this from the other acts, I thought this was a good surprise, and the foreign acts this time were a lot better than the other episodes, I thought.
Yeah. Be it. I guess I didn't think about ranking just the foreign acts or just the American acts, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot that I were excited to see that I've seen on AGT. I mean, it was kind of stacked, I thought, but I usually don't really notice the other ones, like the 4-year-old DJ who somehow won his show. But I was pretty happy. They bridged the gap between the superstars real nicely.
I'm enjoying the international acts. You know, it's stuff that we haven't seen before. We've seen all of our favorite AGT performances, but bringing in some of these, the Britain and the South Africa and the Holland guy and the Denmark, it's just kind of fun to see these performances from the different Got Talent franchises.
Yeah, I do like to see. I do like to see the international acts a lot. As a general rule, yes.
Well, speaking of more internationals, we got the Texas Tenors up next.
Those are definitely domestic.
It's like a whole nother country down there.
Yeah. Well, I just learned before the podcast as we were chatting that Cody Mims, you are from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you happen to know any of these guys?
No, it's one of the bigger states. If you didn't know.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right. To be, I do believe that I met somebody who claimed to be one of the coaches or like a choir teacher for one of these guys back in their earlier life.
Wow.
So, I don't know if one of these has a connection to Iowa somehow or exactly where that was, but I do seem to recall that there was that connection. So
I do have a friend who knew one of the like YouTube acts or something. I think he got to like the semifinals or finals in like season 8 or something. He was from my town, New Braunfels, so he like saw him in HEB or something.
The Texas Tenors. So this is 3. I guess we can call them opera singers, right?
Sure, yeah.
They were 2009, season 4.
Way back in season 4.
Yeah, this is a while ago. So you got to be, scratching your head or, working to remember these guys. But 4th place back in season 4, which is a totally different show than it is now. Video package shows, you're going from being unemployed and construction workers, had their chance to audition, made it to 4th place. They've since been touring full time for 10 years. They've debuted 2 albums at #1 on the Billboard classical charts, which I think are maybe a little less competitive than some of the other Billboard charts.
Hey, Jackie Ivanko might be on that list.
It'd be interesting maybe to look back at the history there. But all that to say, like, they've turned this into a career, and they're doing very well for themselves. For their act themselves, they come out dressed in black. Their presentation is very professional. First, I don't know their names. The blonde guy comes and starts singing. They sing, what was the song? Unchained Melody? Unchained Melody
Yep,
by the Righteous Brothers.
Brothers. Yep.
So he starts off. Then we got the goatee guy next, and then finally the guy that I'm going to call Blackbeard was last, and he sings it in Italian instead of in English, just to show that they've got that range. Classic, like, audience has their phone flashlights out, they're waving them. They seem to connect pretty well with the audience. At the end they got a standing ovation from the audience, so they were fine. Judges, Heidi said maybe a little on the schmaltzy side. Mel B loved the harmonies. Howie says they set a very high bar, and Simon thinks they got better with age. I'm going to tend to agree with Heidi on this. It was very schmaltzy.
But she said she likes schmaltzy.
Yeah, I like schmaltzy too. Yeah. Like, I honestly, kind of revealing more of myself than I really need to intend here, but like, I sometimes like watching Lawrence Welk. Like, I'll pull that up, but I don't know what it is about this. Like, over rehearsed, maybe, I don't know.
It was very cheesy with the way that they spent like a whole 30 seconds to a minute on just one person, and then like one by one, and then they all kind of came together. I don't know.
It did seem like they've sang this song many times.
Yeah. Maybe 6 nights a week for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like they're totally schmaltzy, and like I enjoy maybe the big band style more than this, but I guess I don't. There's something missing. Like maybe in Lawrence Welk, like they totally get their schmaltziness, and maybe there's a little wink to the audience. But here, like I'm not sure that we ever got that. Like, yeah, we get it. This is kind of over the top. Like they were earnestly schmaltzy.
I really wish they'd pick a different song than Unchained Melody. I was half expecting Tapeface to come out and do his little routine that he did.
To Unchained Melody?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe that would have been something. Like these guys, they totally belong in Branson, right? Like just a 6-night-a-week stage act and go home to your families. They would do fantastic in Branson.
Yeah, completely agreed.
Yeah, I had them at a C. Without looking at that, honestly, I kind of grade these blind. I gave them a C+.
Okay.
So I guess exceeded my expectations, but not by a lot.
Yeah, I liked seeing them back. I liked the Texas Tenors when they were on in season 4, and it seems like I remember them being better then than they are now. I mean, they've probably gotten better with age, but I seem to be more impressed with them back in season 4 than I am today.
Yeah, so here's a theory that I have that kind of bounces around, and since it's kind of coming up, I'm going to see what you guys think of it. I call it the Tappin' Dad syndrome. And I don't know if you guys would possibly remember the Tappin' Dads. I don't even know what season they were. Might have been season 4 even. But they were these dads who, like, in the evenings would get together and learn how to tap dance together. And they were not great tap dancers. They were fine. But they were so lovable because they were amateurs. Right? And so when you flip that switch from being an amateur to being a professional, you lose that amateur allure. You lose whatever that amateurness, whatever points that gives you with the audience. And I wonder if maybe these guys are subject to Tappin' Dad syndrome. What do you think?
Tappin' Dad, that sends me back. They were one of the most recent acts to get buzzed directly home from the live shows, I think.
Oh, were they really?
Yeah, it was tragic.
Because they weren't amateurs anymore. They were supposed to live up to something that they're not.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't remember this at all.
It's a pretty deep cut. Cody.
Okay.
All the grace in the world.
I'm gonna have
here.
to go back and check this out because I don't remember this at all. And I'll probably remember it when I watch it, but I'm probably repressing it somehow.
I think that was around the time of the Kinetic King, I think.
Oh, okay. So it was pretty recent. Okay.
Maybe a little more recent. I don't know. I really should have done my research before I start blowing off about this.
I remember that being the same episode as the one where he did his contraption that didn't work at all. I don't know if that's true, but that's how it is in my memory. So that was an episode if those were the same.
Yeah, boy, I don't know. I might have to pull up Tappin' Dads and see if I can pull up a little bit more information on them before the end of our episode here. But yeah, I guess I've given my thoughts on the Texas Tenors. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to say about them?
I don't think so. So last week, I know we're kind of on our second act now, but last week we kind of talked about some of the acts being shorter or longer than some of the others.
Yeah.
Did you happen to keep track of that this week?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I started keeping track of it when we get to Paul Zerdin. I remember at that point that we were going to do it. So I don't have any information for the first 3, but as we get into Paul Zerdin and on, you'll see some interesting numbers once we start talking about it.
Well, our next act, someone said...
Do what, Cody?
Our next act, one of the judges, I think it was Mel, said she thought it was too short. Drew Lynch, and I would kind of agree, but maybe not for the same reasons.
You know, you mentioned that, but it's like all of the comedians have been short. All of their performances have been real short. Tom Cotter was Preacher Lawson kind of made his longer, but his was short. Vicky's was short. It's like all the comedians, their edit has been just cut short.
Yeah, when are the comedians going to catch a break on this show?
I don't know. But do you want to kind of tell us a bit more about Drew Lynch?
Yeah, the stuttering comedian is back and ready for the rematch, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, he looks older. He's got a much more subdued delivery, I think. I don't know. I didn't love it, but what did you guys think?
Now I haven't.
I feel like his voice.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel like his voice has changed. He in his video package, we go back to his season here, 2015, and I feel like his voice was higher, and maybe he stuttered more than he does now.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's got it a little bit more under control, or he's kind of relaxing, or I don't know what he might be doing, but I felt like he didn't stutter as much, and like you said, his voice was lower. He's kind of calmed that down a little bit. A lot of parallels to be drawn between Samuel J. Comroe, who's got Tourette's syndrome, lost voice guy who's got cerebral palsy, right, and Drew Lynch, who's got this stutter from a softball accident. So, a lot of very similar. It's a comedian who has some hurdle between them and being a stage performer, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he totally got sniped on his joke about being the runner-up by Tom Cotter, who went earlier, I guess. He said he was going to do ventriloquism tonight, I guess.
Yeah, Simon said, "What are you going to do different?" He said, "I was thinking puppets." So he made a few jokes. He's talked about, I feel like you're getting the joke and also the remix,
mm-hmm.
right? I didn't get the lyrics, but I like the beat.
Yeah, that was good. He spent a lot of time after that on one. What was this act about again?
The Invisalign, invisible braces.
Yeah, that didn't carry this whole performance, I think. I would have liked to hear some more from him as well.
Yeah. That may not be his best material, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It talks about losing his Invisaligns at a restaurant, and he has to go back, and the waitress says, "I didn't see you wearing a retainer." Well, you can't see it, and it's invisible. So, have you seen it? That is an awkward conversation. And then at the end, he did wrap it up with, "I'm glad you got that joke, but even if you didn't get it, it's got a good beat." So he was circling back to what he said at the beginning about, the joke and the remix. So as much as you can in 2 minutes, he did have sort of an inside joke. He's circling back to that thing that the audience was already in on.
Yeah, that's another thing that would have been better if this act was longer too. I think it came like real fast.
Yeah, and again, comedians are kind of at a disadvantage. They have to fit their act into those 2-3 minutes, not unlike the singers.
This was my first experience with Drew Lynch.
Okay.
He and the next one, Paul Zerdin, were on during my dark times when I didn't watch AGT. So I hadn't really seen either of them before. I didn't know about the stutter. And when he was talking about it, I was just thinking, well, can't he get that fixed? They have speech therapy for that. But he said in the package that it will never go away. So he's kind of got this, and he's kind of brought it into his act, similar to how Samuel J. Comroe's brought his Tourette's into his act. I really liked this, even though it was short. I really liked it because unlike some of the other comedians, he had that callback. And for me, that really adds to the comedy when you're kind of telling a little story and then you call back to the very beginning or earlier on in the performance, in the set. It just kind of just makes something click. It relates your stuff together.
Yeah.
Whereas last week with Tom Cotter, and we talked about this, it was basically just a bunch of one-liners. And it didn't do. I like Tom Cotter. I love Tom Cotter, but it just didn't do much for me at that time. This did a whole lot more for me.
Yeah, I think it's really good writing. I think it's really good comedy. I gave him an A- after this set. He was an A-, I guess, preseason, so he met my expectations, but I had high expectations. So, in talking about it being too short, like, I am definitely left wanting more.
Yes.
I want to see more of him. A lot of acts at the end of their 2 or 3 minutes, I'm not saying, oh, give me more. But he's capable to hold my attention. I want to see more of him.
Agreed. And he, like you said earlier, he did look older. He looked like a little kid, even though it was just 2015. He looked like a little kid in that season, whereas now he does look much older.
Yeah, he's matured.
So, well, the next one we have is the person that he actually lost to, Paul Zerdin.
Yeah, first place in 2015,
Yep.
season 10. Paul Zerdin. Our ventriloquist. He likes, I guess in his act, he talks about he likes to make things talk. And he does that, the deal with the elevator. And he'll, just be standing on the elevator and without moving his lips, he'll throw his voice and say, doors closing. Doors
Sorry.
opening.
It's still making me laugh now.
And he'll say, cable detaching.
Yeah.
And everybody jumps, right? Oh no, the table's detaching. So that was like, he makes this a comedy bit, not just a ventriloquist bit. Like you're filling in the gaps with your imagination instead of him filling it in with a puppet, maybe, is a way to say that. So that was kind of cool. I appreciated that he kind of took a twist on ventriloquism that way.
He took a couple of pretty big risks tonight, and I think that was probably the more successful of the two, in my view.
Okay. So when he does bring out his puppet, he's got a puppet named Sam, and has a little bit of banter with him, a little bit of funny stuff. He says, "I've got a little ditty," and he has Sam look down at towards his crotch. I guess for what it's worth, kind of some blue humor, but I appreciated that he's taking maybe a few more risks with that too. And then he says he's going to hum. What did he hum? Was it "I Dream of Jeannie"?
I think it was Tom's Diner.
Okay. So he's going to hum that while he's beatboxing. And Sam says, "You can't do that. That's not going to work." And he pretends to have this little argument with Sam. And then he pulls it off. He hums, sort of maybe more with a N sound in the back of his throat, while he beatboxes over top of it. I guess, what did you guys think of of that talent portion of it?
I'm kind of wondering if this is him like trying to respond to the likes of Darcy Lynn or that season 1 dude or whoever, but Terry Fader.
Fader on season 2.
I don't know, but it seemed like that was really it. It was him showing off this like technical ability and legitimately nothing else with this segment.
Did he do singing during his season 10 performances?
No, I don't think so.
Or was he just straight up? Or was he just straight up
singing,
comedy?
No, I'd say more comedy than singing. Yeah.
So it's almost like someone was trying to tell him, "Look, you need to kind of introduce this into your act because you got a couple others that can sing."
Yeah, I mean he's always done sort of unconventional stuff, I guess. Like there was one time in season 10 where he had like Howie basically be his puppet. So I mean he's always sort of done stuff, but yeah, I do kind of wonder if this is him sort of reading the room.
This singing wasn't about his ability to sing. It was about his ability to beatbox and sing at the same time. As far as like that talent goes, I've seen much better beatboxers do this kind of thing, far better than him. But his delivery was very, very good. I really enjoyed it. Heidi said it was seamless. Howie said you take the art of ventriloquism and you play with it. So I appreciate that he sort of twisted it a little bit. Simon said original, funny, but I don't think it was a progression from where you were before. Mel B says she was completely entertained. So I enjoyed this quite a bit. Maybe sounds like more than maybe you guys did.
I thought the first part was funnier than the second part, and there was even a point while he was doing the beatboxing that it looked like Simon was starting to lose interest, and I thought he was getting ready to pull that buzzer out again.
Yeah, they previewed one of the buzzers in one of the up next or whatever, and I thought this was going to be it. They were really setting it up.
Yeah, he definitely took a risk from what he did in 2015. I agree that maybe it wasn't better and maybe it wasn't even more impressive, but I do kind of appreciate the way that he broke the trick down. And he brought us into what he was doing. He didn't just like come out and hum and beatbox. Like he sort of explained what was going to happen in a fun way even. I feel like there's a lot of artists that they get to the top of their craft and they forget to like educate the audience on what they're doing, why it's so impressive. We can't, I think like if a yo-yo artist came out and he just like does his 20 hardest tricks, right? Like that's different than a guy who comes out and, like he makes the yo-go go up and down a couple times, then it sleeps at the bottom and like he says, oh, like, well, it just slept at the bottom, right? And then he makes it sleep at the bottom and he does sort of an easy trick with it. Like, oh, okay, so I've got an idea of what I can do here, right? And he sort of brings the journey, the audience in on this journey with him. He didn't just come out and like, hey, I've got all these tricks to do and I'm going to try and cram these all into these 2 minutes. Like, I appreciate that he slowed it down and he brought us along with him on this little trick. So, for what it's worth, I really enjoyed it. I was not at all bored. I gave him an A-. He had an A- from me preseason, so really good act.
I imagine this works pretty well as part of his longer show.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, he did fill a full 3 minutes and 30 seconds on this performance, so he got quite a bit of time to kind of fill this in, put this in.
Yeah. All right, so we're on to the era of keeping track of our keeping track of the length of the acts.
Yep. This is
right.
This is one of my new stats that I'm putting together.
That's a good project.
I'm
curious to hear how that goes.
Okay, well, you're going to get some interesting numbers here.
It'll be interesting when we get into season 14 and we look at some of these preliminary acts. The ones that maybe get eliminated off the show before they even get to the Vegas rounds, or the ones that we get those backstories for. Maybe see how much time is dedicated to them during the course of a season.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, now we move on to our more internationals, and we get the Moonlight brothers from Denmark.
Oh boy. Champions of Denmark's Got Talent, season 2018?
2018,
season 4,
yeah,
I think.
They just won it.
Guys named Jonathan and Christopher. We see them hanging out backstage with the Texas Tenors, teaching them how to floss.
That's exactly what I wrote down. Yeah.
Talk about how they got into dancing. Their aunt and uncle opened a dance studio. They never imagined they'd win. They were all ready to be runners-up on their season even, but there they were, first place. So
very different story from most of the other contestants tonight.
Yeah, most of them. Oh, I was so heartbroken when I didn't win. Whereas they were like, oh, hot dog.
Yeah, we had some good shots of people being sad when they lost too, like angles you don't usually get to see.
Yeah.
Did this act remind you guys of any thing that we've seen in America? Any act that's come on here? Anything? Maybe.
You mean like every other dancing act we've ever seen?
Well, these people reminded me in particular of Mirror Image. And
okay.
I guess for a lot of people that would be sort of a slam, but I actually enjoyed most of their performances, and I kind of like this one too. It was, I mean, it was all over the place, but I kind of liked it.
I guess I'm surprised to hear that you liked it. I guess I can appreciate there was a little bit of comedy in their dance act. It wasn't just dance. It wasn't just technical dance. While there was some amount of technical dance, and they spent a good deal of time like pumping up the audience too. Like get on your feet and raising their arms, that sort of stuff. So, were there any particular dance moves that stood out to either of you guys?
The one thing that I wrote down was I wish they'd pick a song, because it seemed like they used about 12 different songs during this performance.
Yeah.
So no, there wasn't one particular dance move because it was all over the place.
Yeah, I thought it was like at least edited better than a lot of the medleys we usually get, but yeah, I guess I kind of like the baby thing or whatever, but it just seemed like they remembered to have fun, which I think is something a lot of dance acts usually forget. I feel like they can kind of be a little bit rigid, but these guys were just sort of loose and definitely like winking at the audience. So
yeah, no, I agree. It did look like they were having fun, and they look like they genuinely care for each other as brothers. So that's cool. They did that trick that I'd kind of talked about in the preseason, where one guy puts his leg behind the other guy's head, who's like crouched over, and as the crouched one stands up, he propels the other one up into a backflip. I kind of like that move. There was another one where I guess at the end he sort of ended up riding on the guy's shoulders, like I would do with my 5-year-old daughter, but it was reverse. So his I guess his face was towards the other rider's midsection, which was kind of a cool look. But they're clearly brothers who are pretty comfortable with each other, kind of like Billy and Emily England, maybe. But I guess not real high praise from the judges. Mel B said she likes that they're homegrown. Howie said it's all about family and talent, and he didn't personally love it. Heidi said she thought they brought the energy up, which is a nice thing to say. She liked the humor. Simon said it was fun, different, but I don't think you're going to win tonight. So that was that.
Yeah, Mel B also said she expected a bit more, and I can understand why, because it was only 1:28.
Whew. So, 88 seconds.
Yeah, 3.5 minutes for Paul Zerdin, 1.5 for Moonlight Brothers.
Wow.
So.
And that makes me wonder if that was edited down at all. Do you think that they cut any part of that out for the live performance, for our TV performance, I guess?
It's very possible, because they may have edited every song that they played. Like, it was probably a 12-minute performance, and then they just took bits and pieces of like every song.
They gave us the best 88 seconds.
Yes, that's right.
Man. I don't know. I enjoyed this. I gave them a C- on the night. I had them at a D+ preseason, so it's fine. As dance acts go, they're pretty palatable. But it's not great.
yeah, I can see why you'd give them that grade.
The next act, though, if we're ready to move on, was my man Tapeface, one of my all-time favorite comedians. A comedic mime is what they had him listed at. 2016, season 11, he was, I guess, a finalist. I don't know that he got a placing in the top 5 or top 10, but so in his video package, we got a little bit what you talked about last week, Cody, with him staying in character, right? We didn't get whatever his name is, John Smith. We got Tapeface as Tapeface in his video package. A lot of, I guess it was him kind of flipping channels, and as he's flipping through, we're hearing the judges' voices like intertwined together, or it's leafed together to make the phrase, "I think you should come back."
I thought this was great.
You liked that video package?
I liked this, yes.
This was my favorite package of the night, and I mean, his have always been good, but yeah, they edited all this together. It seemed like from existing footage, which I guess, I mean, they didn't really have to do. I guess they usually don't get the judges in on these, but yeah, it was an interesting stylistic choice.
Yeah, certainly some amount of editing goes into making that happen. Definitely a different style than most of the other packages. But Tapeface, I think, is a different kind of act too.
Yeah.
In the act itself, he starts by sort of beckoning Howie up on stage, and he gets Howie dressed in a gold chain and a trucker hat. Pulls out a record called Simon's Forever Hits. Had a picture of Simon on the cover with tape over his mouth. Is that a real thing? Or was that a prop that he made up? Any idea on that, guys?
I have no idea.
I have no idea. I don't know. What's it?
All right.
Simon's what?
What was it called? Simon's Forever Hits.
Just a compilation of everyone he's signed from X Factor.
I don't know. But he took the record out of the record sleeve, and then he sort of goads Howie into pretending to scratch the record, dance, like DJ, while Tapeface sort of makes the record scratching noise with a spoon and a cutting board. So that was kind of cute. He sort of gets Howie involved in that. And then next he calls Terry Crews up on stage. Has him put on some overalls and some kind of a blouse, a yellow reflective vest, and a hard hat. And then he goes down to the judge's desk with his own buzzer that he pulls out of his satchel that he carries. And then the song, I think it's called The Stripper, starts up. Yeah.
Yep.
Da-da, da-da, da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Terry's up there with really no option but to strip off the costume. So Terry plays his part. Tapeface goes back up on stage. He pulls a golden buzzer out of his satchel. He fake golden buzzes Terry Crews. Even has some golden confetti fly. This is fun. This is a really fun act. I found myself smiling a lot in this act. What did you guys think of this one?
I liked Tapeface's stuff early on when he was on. What was that? Season 11, season 12,
season 11, 2016.
Yeah. So when his early stuff, his audition, I think it's Vegas round. I really liked him. It seemed like his later stuff that season wasn't as impressive.
I totally agree with that. Actually, I know that's sacrilege or whatever, but yeah, this was honestly about what I expected from him based on how his whole season 11 went. And
yeah.
It was. I mean, it was probably one of the better acts of the night, but I don't know. It wasn't a showstopper, I thought.
I've seen a little chatter about is this a talent? It seems like he didn't even own the stage, right? It was Howie and it was Terry Crews that were the quote unquote talent.
Yeah, it's more about the way he commands things, his actions that he gives, and he's a comedy act, so it's all about his actions, making other people do things. He doesn't really just do things on stage himself. He brings other people on. In the audition, he brought Heidi up. So it's about how he interacts with other people. That's his talent. That's his comedy.
Yeah, he creates a comedic situation.
Yes.
And for it, to put the pieces in place isn't necessarily hard, but to imagine how to get these pieces in place, thinking of the scenario before it ever comes on stage, that's sort of where the magic is behind the scenes.
When he was on season 11, I listened to an interview he did on a podcast called The Comedian's Comedian that was pretty interesting. And he talked all about how he, when people are filing in, he looks at who he's going to pick for what roles and whatever. And there's definitely a lot of real thought that goes into how he sets this up. And how he makes sure people know what to do and who he picks. Like, if I had been on stage, I would have had no idea what he was trying to get me to do, but he knew, I guess, Terry Crews would know what was up and definitely be game to do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a talent.
And because he doesn't tell jokes, it takes a while to build his stuff up. So, you know, getting people to come up and to kind of get the props ready. So when he fills 4 minutes and 15 seconds of showtime, then, you know, that's when you really get the full effect of Tapeface.
4 minutes.
You liking that? You liking how I just slipped that in there?
I am. Yeah, it was real smooth. Almost as smooth as Tapeface himself. You know, I had him at an A preseason. I gave him an A for that act. You know, like we're talking about, the what he does on stage is not hard. What he does to prepare for that moment is where all the magic is. I really enjoy this. I found myself smiling all the way through it. You know, imagining myself in Terry Crews' situation or in Howie's situation. You know, like that's good work out of him.
Yes, and apparently Simon's Forever Hits is a Tapeface original. Because when I search Simon's Forever Hits, all I'm getting is Simon and Garfunkel and Carly Simon.
Okay,
so that's a Tapeface original.
He did very good art on the packaging.
Yeah,
then.
and he did vinyl, so he's going
Indeed.
He's going retro on that too.
Indeed, vinyl's coming back, guys.
Yep. He's also performing at the House of Tape. Is that what they called it?
I believe that's right. Yep.
So,
yeah, and that came from Howie, who apparently knows this, and I don't know if that was somehow fed to him on cue cards or if that's just something that he happens to know for real. But you know, Tapeface, he's doing great.
Yeah.
You know, finding success out there. So.
I would like to believe that Howie keeps track of all comedians that have been on AGT and what they're doing.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that too.
So, but he's probably not keeping up with Kechi these days.
Yeah. Kechi was our number 7 act of the night. She was 2017, season 12, not too long ago. Her video package, like this is the heartbreaking one, right?
Yeah.
107 of 109 people aboard an airplane when it crashed passed. Kechi was one of 2 survivors, and the only one of 60 kids in her school to survive this plane crash. She had 3rd-degree burns over 65% of her body. Doctors had given her just a 30% chance of survival. And, you know, you can tell that she's been through some trauma. Her hands have some deformities. Looks like she has some like fingertips that she's lost. Her arms and face looks like they have skin grafted on them. I'd have to believe that she has ongoing medical issues from all of this. Seems like she tends to have a bandage on. Is it on her right hand most of the time?
Yeah, it looked like it. Yes.
But since being on the show just 2 years ago, she says she's gained a lot of confidence, and she is now an advocate for burn survivors, which I'm not sure 100% what that means, if it's you know, visiting them in the hospitals, or if it's, you know, some kind of awareness, or raising funds for, you know, research on how to help burn survivors. I don't know, but you know, she's doing something with this, and I think giving back to the world. So the performance itself, you guys, was a song called "You Are the Reason" by Callum Scott. I'm not sure that I know this song.
I've never heard of this song.
Other Cody, you ever heard of
Nope.
it? All right. So,
Won't be remembering it.
Yeah, wait. What a way to relate to the audience.
Okay. Can I get your guys' thoughts on the song, on her performance of the song, I should say?
I thought she sang it very well. The way Kechi, we know, is a very accomplished singer. And I thought she's, not knowing anything about the song, I thought she sang it pretty well. And that's all. I mean, it's just another singer to me. And Cody, you and I have talked about Kechi numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of put my thoughts out there. She can sing, but that's all that I have.
I was honestly kind of surprised that they brought her back for this. I didn't think that she was an act that people would be like looking back at season 12 and being like, oh yeah, you got to see Kechi. But I mean, I guess we saw why, because Simon wanted to give her that golden buzzer, but I was not super into this performance.
I'm not surprised they brought her back. She is one of those stories, the plane crash story that they love to tell. And it's the same story we hear every single week. It's like every show, that's the same story we heard. Now, Jay, this is probably the first time you're hearing it since you don't watch the packages.
I captured it enough, from her look and from the judges' comments, that I knew more or less what was going on. But, the story is heartbreaking and so just absolutely I'm blessed to not have experienced anything like that myself. But the performance itself, I just wasn't taken with, kind of like you guys. Howie called her a champion of life. That should not win a person a golden buzzer, right? Mel B says, I see how hard you've been working. That shouldn't get you a golden buzzer. Heidi says that I was excited to see and hear you again. Like, this isn't, like heaping serious praise on her. Simon said, based on what I've seen tonight, I didn't really like it that much. ... I loved it. This was a meh performance for me.
They showed a preview of him giving that golden buzzer like that, and I feel like they had to, because that was one of the all-time most indulgent Simon fake-outs. Like, if you didn't know that he was going to do that, it might have been kind of, oh, all right.
Yeah, especially after the other three judges' comments weren't really that over the top,
Yeah.
But yeah, I gave her a C on the night. I've been thinking this joke for 3 minutes now, so I'm going to say it. Kechi's song wasn't that catchy. Gave her a C. That matches what I gave her preseason. Did not exceed my expectations. So there you go.
Well, we did have to listen to that song for 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I'll just kind of not even slip it in. It's just out there. So.
All right, we'll keep those numbers coming.
Okay, professional regurgitator.
Oh, yes. I am
the whole reason you're here tonight, Cody.
Yeah, I am 100% with Heidi. This is my favorite act of all time on AGT. I honestly don't see how it could ever be topped. Every single time I think this guy can't up the ante throughout his original run, through the Holiday Spectacular, through this time, and he delivers every time. I would really have loved to see what he did for the finals, but yeah, I guess we sort of talked about this guy when we did our original Holiday Spectacular that I can barely remember, but
well, hey, if you can't remember it, go back and listen to the one Jay and I talked about, because it's exactly the same.
Oh, that was a great moment of hearing you guys realize that you'd already seen that episode.
Were you just sitting there like, we've talked about this? Were you just like yelling at your computer, your phone, like, what are you guys doing?
No, it was great. I loved going on that ride. But yeah, I don't know. Am I being prestiged here? Am I an idiot for thinking this is real or what?
I have no idea what's going on. So he did basically two tricks. One where he called it a nut and a bolt, or he didn't call it a nut, but yeah, it's what it was, a nut and a bolt, maybe a 3-inch long bolt, and he at least claims that he swallows them, and he moves his torso around to put the nut onto the bolt, and then he slaps himself on the chest and squeaks and spits it back up with the nut right in the middle of the bolt.
Yeah.
And then his second trick, I guess, for lack of a better word, he swallows like a cherry tomato and a razor blade, and then cuts the tomato in half and brings back up the razor blade, and then 2 halves of tomato.
Yeah, I wasn't on the Reddit back when he was in his original season. I'm not on the Reddit now, so I don't know what people are saying. But as far as I know, this is legit, and I am loving it. I would like to see it with an X-ray, though. I will say that. So
what do you like about him? Kind of talk about that. What do you find so fascinating?
It's just, I mean, it's the definition of what AGT is. It's something that nobody else can do. It's just astounding. Like, he builds and builds and builds. I cannot believe he didn't win Season 10, which I think was still, even without him winning, with probably the best season AGT's ever done. But that would have been just phenomenal. But
there's 3 acts from that season in this episode.
Yeah.
Was it Paul Zerdin, Drew Lynch, and Professional Regurgitator was 4?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Who was third? Do we know? I guess we can look it up.
I'd have to.
I'll look it up. You guys talk.
Yeah, you got to watch that season. Best judges panel in the show's history, also. But anyway, I mean, this time he has a razor blade, and he's gonna move that razor blade with his stomach. It's like, bro, how are you gonna? I mean, everything he does is just unbelievable, and he always has more. So,
he really does a very interesting thing. If I were to guess what's going on, I would say that he's probably not swallowing these things down to his stomach. I think that they probably somehow stop at a spot in the back of his throat somehow. Simon buzzed him when he was swallowing that razor blade.
Yes.
To cut the tomato.
Yeah, don't buzz someone when they're putting a razor blade in their mouth.
He pulled a Mel B.
He pulled a Mel B. A full Mel B.
And when he went backstage and he was like, F. Simon Cowell. Oh, that was so good.
But, and then, was it Howie asked him, why did you buzz him, Simon? And he said, because it made me want to throw up.
Yeah.
But not when you're putting a razor blade in your mouth. It's like...
Howie called him polarizing. Mel B said he's very good at what he does. Heidi loved it. I wish this had been Heidi's night for the Golden Buzzer, because we might have gotten another variety act through.
I think she would have golden buzzed before he even started.
Yeah. Who was hers? Was it Deadly Games?
Yes, I think so.
I'm pretty happy with that.
You know what?
one
I haven't
too.
been marking who.
Yeah. Yeah, Heidi's probably my favorite judge we got now.
I do not know how he does these tricks. I was a little disappointed that it was only 2 tricks. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more.
He fit those 2 tricks into 3 minutes and 8 seconds, but part of that was he had to wait. He had to kind of calm down after the buzz.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that was more than 8 seconds of it.
Yeah,
but,
true.
I gave him a C+ following the act. I had him at a B- preseason. I don't know, was he missing some stage presence? Was it, me wanting to see more tricks? I don't know. I'm really impressed when he does, dry stuff. In the Christmas episode, he did the glitter. I've seen him do, flour or, sugar, maybe. The dry stuff is really mind-boggling to me. So, these maybe weren't his best tricks, but boy, it's something.
Are all of his performances up close next to the judges' table?
Yes.
I think they tend to be. Okay. Yeah.
Man, you gotta watch this season.
So season 10 had Paul Zerdin as the winner, Drew Lynch as the runner-up, Oz Perlman third place.
Oh, Mentalist, right?
Yeah, Oz Perlman. I kind of forgot about him, but he was pretty good too.
Oz, yeah.
And then Professional Regurgitator fourth, and then the Craig Lewis Band fifth place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boy, I don't remember
They were pretty good as far as singers go.
Okay. While we're talking about Googling here, the Tapping Dads were season 3.
Oh, really? Who am I thinking
Yeah, they
of?
were a
I'm
while
thinking
ago.
of some cloggers or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. Tapping Dad syndrome.
I never would have thought that this would have been Heidi's favorite performance of all time.
Boy, I could have guessed a lot of acts before I
Yes.
got to the professional regurgitator.
Yeah.
Taylor Williamson, maybe.
Yes, Taylor Williamson would have been way up there. Yeah. Sal would have been way up there.
Yeah, indeed.
So then we get Brian Justin Crum.
Brian Justin Crum, singer from 2016,
Yeah,
season 11.
Uh-huh.
He was 4th place. One of these guys that wanted to win but was disappointed when he got in 4th place. Sort of the opposite of those Moonlight brothers. He, in his package, talks about when he came out as gay at a very young age. He was bullied for being gay as well as overweight. In America's Got Talent here just a couple years ago, he says that he's really kind of found like a real voice and acceptance from the AGT stage. He says that he's since honed his voice and thinks that he's picked the right song for the show.
Well, you picked your song.
Quite literally,
Yes.
your song. So he, yeah, I don't know. It was your song, I guess popularized by Elton John. He generally pretty likable, I'd say. Pretty good delivery. I didn't have much to complain about other than he's another singer. How long did this one run?
This was 212. So, he and
212.
Kechi were pretty close. She was 220. So the two singers running pretty close to each other. I didn't happen to write down the Texas Tenors.
Yeah, we might be able to go back and get that.
Yeah, but I kind of like this, but I like this song too. I think he kind of put his own little flavor on it.
Put a little flavor on it, yeah. I would say that he did a pretty good song choice. He had good delivery, good dynamics. I don't know, Cody Mims, what'd you have to say about it?
I kind of lost the thread on this song. I feel like it's been done a lot better. They played the Ellie Goulding version of this in the background after he stopped, and it just kind of reminded me that, I don't know, like he was very embellishing. He was embellishing the rhythms a lot, I thought, and the arrangement was kind of all over the place, so I just had trouble connecting with it, but I don't know. I really liked what he did in his original AGT run, but this wasn't it for me.
Yeah.
For a long time, I didn't even know this was an Elton John song because I only knew it from the movie Moulin Rouge when Ewan McGregor sang it. So, but I still like it. I think that's kind of where I learned to like it was from that movie.
Funny. Man, yeah, this existed in my consciousness long before Moulin Rouge, but there you go. Yeah, preseason I had him at a C+. I gave him a B-. I thought he came off as really likable tonight. Didn't blow my socks off.
No, didn't do anything amazing, but I kind of liked it this time.
Yeah. Ready to talk about the final act of the night?
Yep, so let's talk about Kenichi.
Kenichi Ibina. He was first place in season 8, 2013. And he is a dancer. My impressions when he first came out, he looks older.
Yes.
Did
What'd
y'all
you
think
guys
so?
think?
I thought
Yeah.
he looked.
Yes.
I was surprised to hear he was 44. I thought he was younger than that.
No, he did look older than he did when he was on season 8.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's
He was one
been
of these acts.
5 years now. So, and
Yeah.
when you get in your 40s, Cody Mims, it starts to show. Trust me.
All right. Did y'all think that influenced his act at all? Because I kind of thought that actually did show a little bit in his performance.
Well, he even talked about that he's having to make some adjustments now because he's getting older.
Yeah.
So some things he was able to do 5 years ago, he's not able to do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see anything that made me think, "Ooh, boy, he shouldn't have tried that." But he knows what he's capable of doing.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything like that. It was more just like, this seemed like a less athletic performance to me, and a lot more like one of the judges said about the whole production of it.
Yeah. I mean, it was very. It's a very big stage that he had to fill up, and he's just one, little Asian man. He is no dance troupe by any means. But yeah, he he comes out on stage. He says, "Life is better, and I make more money." So he's doing well.
Can't argue with that.
The act itself, we see like it looks like it's going to be sort of a video game that he's playing, like what is it? Dance Dance Revolution, was that it?
Yeah.
Or
You went back to the video game well.
yeah, but back to the video games. Is very like he forced this one in there. He did the thing with the trench coat where like his head looks like it falls off, and then he quickly loses the trench coat and gets on with his act. So I felt like that was just sort of a nod to like, I know everybody likes this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. Yeah.
He moves his body to like these arrows that are going on around him. His arms and legs and things are very much in sync. I thought that was really well done. And he gets to the end of level 1 and it says prize unlocked. And that's where this robo dog rolls out on stage for us.
I was really confused by this.
That was okay. So like the story starts to get maybe a little bit lost there. But if you suspend your disbelief, I think it's pretty cool. The background changes to like this like claw machine villain thing, and he does a few different moves, sort of interacting with this claw machine video background. Kind of pushes him left, right. He does this like marionette thing where it shakes him, as it sort of pulls up on his shoulders or whatever. And while he's being picked on by the machine, the dog like rides up an elevator and sort of attacks this villain. The villain, like one of the claws reaches up and flicks the dog off its shoulder. And he does one of the really my favorite tricks that I think I maybe have seen any dancer do is he goes from standing and like one of these claws like pushes him backwards, and he very controlledly gets his head on the ground, and then he slides his head back along the ground until he's laying flat. And then, as he's going to fight back against this evil claw machine, he does that just in reverse. Like his heels of his shoes are grippy, and his head slides up until he's able to like put his weight on his feet and actually stand back upright and fight against this, video evil villain. I love that move. Like, I've never seen anybody do that before.
Yeah, he did all the essential Kenichi hits for sure. Did y'all think that he made this projection?
I assume that he, at the very least designed it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he probably did. I mean, this seems like a good evolution of his act if he's like, like really technically good at making these projections and making them bigger and whatever, but he can't do as many sort of crazy moves or whatever. Like, I don't know. It seems like a good place for him to be. I think, honestly, this being like a dance-themed game might have hurt him because it just didn't seem like the theme really gave him a whole lot to play with, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, I was very distracted by what was going on the screen. I've commented before that I've been more interested in the things that go on the screen than the dancers themselves, but I was actually pretty distracted by it, and I couldn't focus on what he was doing. I was actually really disappointed in this performance.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I loved it.
No, I couldn't follow it. It was way too big. The dog didn't make sense to me. I wrote down here that the season 8 performances with him and Taylor were pretty disappointing. So,
I like the dog. I like this too, but I don't think it was better than the old stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I I like this. You know, if you're going to be a dancer and you can be comedic and you can hold my attention for the entire dance and tell a story and do tricks that I've never seen before, like I'm thoroughly impressed. You know, I guess judges' comments. Terry Crews said he's a one-man action movie. Heidi says, "I'd love to see in your brain and see how you figure it all out." Mel B says, so this is maybe a little more critical. She says, "I think you overachieved." You know, she said the stage was too big for him. Simon said he's always loved him. So I think this is the best act we've seen of the Champions season, or the best dance act we've seen of the Champions season. He's good at what he does. I gave him an A.
Wow.
Preseason, I had him at an A. So, you know, there's something about him that I really do love, really do enjoy.
Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed all 2 minutes and 14 seconds of his performance.
Okay, so there seems to be about a median? No, a mean of, no, median. Median?
I mean, yeah. Add the numbers together, divide by the number of, yeah.
How about mode? Mode is that 212 to 214 range, right?
Probably,
That's
yeah.
the most common?
Something like that. And then you have your outliers, Tapeface at 415. So, but he did go longer than the Moonlight brothers.
Okay.
So, if you're comparing your dance acts.
Everybody went longer than the Moonlight brothers.
So then we get into our top three.
Our top three. Who are the top three?
And actually it was top four this time.
Oh my god. Just when you thought this results format couldn't get any worse.
I know. So we had, so they brought in Brian Justin Crum, Paul Zerdin, and then Terry Crews is like, hold up. We've got something that's never happened before in the 4 episodes that we've been showing. It's never happened. We have a tie.
My favorite quote of this episode, besides F. Simon Cowell, was, "We have a dead heat." What does that mean?
Yeah. From 50 people. So there's a tie between...
The problem is your voting pool is too small.
It is.
When you have a tie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the same issue that we have when we have 4 judges trying to do a judge's pick.
Yeah.
So we had a tie with Tapeface and Drew Lynch.
Yeah. And it's weird that it was presented that way because, you know, they should have said that there was a tie for third place. The top 4 acts are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then send 4 and 3 home.
Yes.
It's weird that they came out together and then were eliminated together.
Yeah. Okay, Cody Mims, I'm getting ready to talk Olympics again. So I know you're back for 1 episode. And I'm getting ready to talk Olympics already, okay?
All right.
So here we go. So in the Olympics, and Jay, I don't know how much you know about this as well, but in the Olympics, when you have a tie, so you're only 3 people can get medals. So you have gold, silver, and bronze. So if there's a tie for gold, then they only award 2 golds, and then they skip silver and they go to bronze. Okay, so same thing. Same thing with bronze or silver. So if you have a gold winner and then a tie at silver, there's no bronze awarded. So in bronze, yes, it makes sense. So in bronze, if you have gold, silver, and then 2 bronze, then you have four winners here. So when they announced that there's, the third group was a tie, well, you obviously knew that they were the ones in last place.
And then they immediately cut them. Like this, they say like one thing. They're like, okay, third place is, oh yeah, it's Tapeface and Drew.
Yes,
right.
And then
thanks.
So like, yeah, that was really poorly delivered, or they had that set up poorly. They should have said there was a tie for third place.
Yes.
The top 4 acts are 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and mix it up because they actually called them in the order that they placed.
Yeah, and that could just be, sometimes a coin's going to land heads 10 times in a row, right? Sometimes you're going to call up first place first and second place second.
Yeah. So this is where this voting format actually hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't believe there was no other way around this either. Like some kind of, I don't know, like they don't even get anything for being tied for third. They get nothing.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was funny that earlier Simon, I guess it was to the Regurgitator, I think, he was like, well, lucky for you, Simon's vote doesn't matter tonight on the one night when what Simon thinks does matter.
Yeah. So Tapeface and Drew Lynch were tied for third. They get sent home. And then Paul Zerdin gets sent home. And our winner is Brian Justin Crum.
So we've got Kechi and Brian Justin Crum going through from tonight.
Yes.
To join, along with all these other singers. We've got
Four other
Christina
singers.
Ramos, Paul Potts, Susan Boyle, who are all like these big, loud, adult opera kind of singers.
Yeah,
also got Angelica Hale, who's not too far from that. I guess, yeah. Susan
Boyle, Paul Potts, and Christina Ramos, all international.
All international. So domestically, we've got Brian Justin Crum, Kechi, and Angelica Hale as singers going through. And then we've got Deadly Games and Preacher Lawson as our non-singer acts going through to finals so far.
Yeah.
Do you guys think if this was a vote for all of America that the results would be similar?
I'd have to believe that there would be differences.
I
don't know.
I would definitely think there would be differences, because if you just look at the last few seasons that have actually had, the last few season winners, they haven't been singers.
Yeah.
So people are picking your variety acts, your different types of things. They're not picking singers. We actually had someone comment on our YouTube channel talking about how many views Angelica Hale has on her YouTube channel, and that's great. Angelica Hale is a wonderful singer, and I'm very, very happy that people are out there watching her stuff. But it's not something I want to see from AGT. I personally want to see different types of variety acts.
Yeah. If I had my druthers, I'd say I want to see acts, from age 17 to 70, and I don't want any singers.
So you eliminate the 3-year-old DJs?
Every act under 17.
Okay.
I want you to be an adult act. I want you to be polished,
Okay.
And I want to, there's other acts for singers to be on. They always do well on America's Got Talent. The show is designed for songs to be sung and to, fit nicely into that 2 minutes and 12 to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But it's just so much of them. And something that I brought up kind of early when we were talking about the judging system here is I'm curious how these 50 people are voting. Is it just pick a winner? Is it pick a top 3? Is it assign
scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, is it a scale? Is it a ranked choice voting?
Yeah.
Where as the bottom ones get eliminated, their votes count towards the next one up, the next one up, the next one up until you have sort of a consensus pick. I don't know how they're calculating that, and that would really affect the outcome. If I'm only getting one vote, I don't know. I'd hope that maybe some of the singer votes would get what do I want to say? Split between your multiple singers, and maybe that bodes well for the end of the season when we've got a glut of singers and just very few variety acts. They're going to find themselves not coming to a consensus on one best singer, and these variety acts are going to sneak through. I don't know, but there's some issues that I don't know how to fix.
Now, here's what you need to do if you want to be
All right.
laissez-faire about it, is you make a show called The Voice Kids, because NBC will always want to air more of The Voice. And I guess if you're a kid singer, it's the only show you have, I guess, if you don't want to just do, like, Instagram.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I hear that that Angelica Hale does really well on her YouTube channel.
I bet. I like her.
Yeah, and I appreciate those people that left those comments. That's fantastic to get that feedback from people. I just want them to understand it, and I'm glad that Angelica Hale is doing so well. I want to see variety from America's Got Talent.
Yo, shout out to all my Hale heads out there. That symphony performance in the finals, one of the best music performances in AGT.
Yeah, I don't know. Our YouTube videos are getting a couple hundred views every week. I know that the podcast is getting downloaded. We're not getting a whole lot of feedback from folks. If you have any input, if you have something to say, something you'd like us to discuss further, we really would appreciate comments. We really like to be able to interact with you guys and know your thoughts as well. So we're what, an hour and a half into this, and I'm really hoping that we're going to get some additional voices. I want to hear what people have to say.
Now, are we to believe that Terry Crews is going to get a golden buzzer next week?
That's what I understand from reading it earlier in the preseason stuff, that the 4 judges plus Terry Crews was getting a golden buzzer.
Interesting.
So who do we have next week, Jay?
Next week we're gonna have Attraction. They're the shadow dance group.
Okay, I'm excited about that.
Colin Cloud, our mentalist. We've got Cosentino, magician, escape artist.
He's on my list.
From Australia. We've got one of the classics, Jackie Ivanko.
Now, there's been some... Jackie Ivanko has been in the news lately.
Oh, has she?
Yes, she has. We can talk more about that next week.
Okay. We've got Ksenia Simonova, our Ukraine sand artist. Does like the shadow sand art on the screen. Lost Voice Guy, Britain's Got Talent comedian from 2018, winner of 2018 season. Sal Valentinetti, what would you call him? A like lounge singer? Not lounge. Crooner, maybe?
Crooner, yeah, he's a crooner.
Then we've got Shin Lim, America's Got Talent, season 18 winner. Close-up magician. Sons of Serendip, music group. Maybe R&B style, you'd call them. But they use like a harp and like real instruments, cello.
Were they another one of those season 10?
They were season 9.
Season 9, okay.
4th place.
Okay.
And then you would remember them from the Christmas episode.
That's right.
You've seen it a couple times, if I recall.
That's true, yeah.
And then finally, Tokyo Myers won Britain's Got Talent in 2017. He's a pianist slash, I don't know, call him a pianist, I guess.
But he does some other stuff. He has like a
yeah.
sound machine or a beat drum machine, whatever, something like that.
Yep. So to run through those again: Attraction, Colin Cloud, Cosentino, Jackie Ivanko, Ksenia Simonova, Lost Voice Guy, Sal Valentinetti, Shin Lim, Sons of Serendip, and Tokyo Myers.
Okay. Sounds like a good lineup next week. But to go with our draft board...
Oh, man,
boy,
I haven't looked at the draft.
We got... especially me, got butchered this week. So, I lost Paul Zerdin, Brian Justin Crum, and Kenichi this week.
Wait, didn't Brian go through?
I'm sorry, you're right. I got him. See, I've already kind of blocked that out. Okay, so I lost Kenichi and Paul Zerdin, and I get Brian Justin Crum. You lost Tapeface.
I lost Tapeface.
Yep.
Which means that next week I've got a whole bunch of them to get eliminated.
Yep. I have Cosentino. That's it.
I've got Lost Voice Guy, Shin Lim, Tokyo Myers, Ksenia Simonova, and Jackie Ivanko. Maximum 2 of those are going through.
Yep.
Do y'all get any points for tying for 3rd place?
No, but we've been butchered so much in this. We're thinking about a redraft for the finals. So.
Oh boy, we are not good at guessing what's going to happen here. I thought we were going to knock this out of the park.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. So it sounds like we've got some good stuff for next week. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Boy, no. I always love to hear input from people. Of course, rate and review us and all those things that podcasters are supposed to say at the end of their episode.
Yep. So, yeah, reach out to us. Email agtcast@gmail.com. Facebook, AGTcast. Twitter, AGT And each of us are on Twitter. I'm at Cody L. Patterson.
I'm at One Man Bander.
And Cody Mims, you want to give out your Twitter?
I am at LavaScript. I don't know. Follow me. Because at the end of this year, I'll try to write some stuff about what I think is the best media of the decade. So stay tuned for that.
There you go.
All right.
Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight.
That was so fun.
Yeah, really fun to have you on here, Cody Mims. I haven't had a chance to talk to you at all. Really fun to see your insight and hear what you had to say about some of these things. So thanks for joining us. Really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, that was awesome. You guys are doing a great job holding it down. I can't wait to hear your coverage of the rest of the season.
We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, y'all have a good night.